This week, I'm attempting my first acrylic gouache experiments in a tiny art journal. I've never used acrylic gouache before, so you'll experience exactly what it's like for me when exploring a new supply. Will it be a success? You'll have to decide. I'm Jackie Bernardi, and welcome to my studio. Now, this video was not meant to be this video, actually. I was just in the studio playing with my brand new acrylic gouache paints. But I have to tell you, I love them so much that I wanted to share what I was going through. So I'm just laying down all the brand new colors that I got, and you can see them listed here. I'll also link to them in the description below. But this here is my tiny art journal. It's a 5-inch by 5-inch art journal, and I love it for specific things. So I just started a brand new one, and this one is going to be dedicated to gouache paints, just gouache. And I may experiment with some things with the gouache, but the bulk of what will go into this art journal will be gouache and gouache related. So, what I'm going to start to do is what I always start when I have a new supply, and that is to color swatch. So, I wrote down the names of the colors. This is the Prussian blue that I'm putting down right now. And right now, that is in its pure form. I haven't mixed it with anything yet. And one of the conventions that I set up when I color swatch is the very first paint that you will see on the top left-hand corner of any given page will be the color in its pure form. All right. So from there, I'm going to mix it. And what I've chosen to do with this particular color study is to keep it very simple. I'm going to do one row of it mixed with the unbleached titanium. The next row will be mixed with the unbleached titanium and with the titanium white. The row after that will be the Prussian blue with the titanium white, and then the final row will be the Prussian blue with black. And what I'm trying to do is see the range. Now, this is a very short study in that we're only going to have, when this is done, there will only be 16 paint swatches here. But those 16 paint swatches will give me a really good idea of the bandwidth for each color. So this one here, the star of the show is the Prussian blue, and we're going to see where we can take it. Now that little swatch that I did right there, I just wanted to remind myself for later that that top row was mixed only with the unbleached titanium. And so as each row goes, I will put a little tiny swatch at the end so I know exactly what was mixed on that row. All right. So the very first thing that I am noticing about these acrylic gouache paints is that they are naturally very opaque. I mean, very, very opaque. And they feel just a little stiff. I'm used to using fluid acrylics, and so that would make sense that these feel stiff. But I want to say they feel like they have weight to them relative to all the other paints that I use. And I think that's a really interesting observation for myself and something that I'm going to want to remember later. There could be applications where I need a heavier weight or a heavier density, let's say, in a piece of art. And that may only be accomplished through using gouache. I'm not sure yet. We're going to find out. I don't know if we'll find out today, but we're going to find out at some point. Uh, the mixing of these colors is just lovely. I mean, they mix beautifully. And this color, this sky blue here, is just such a lovely color that I actually think I'm going to paint in the entire page to the right with that light blue color. But before I do that, I want to mix with black so that we can see the different shades that we can get out of this Prussian blue. Now, mixing with black is always challenging because the black dominates everything. So just know that to tone down the black in this type of color study, you're going to have to use quite a bit of the colorant that you're using to get different shades. All right. So just know that up front. Very frankly, because gouache is so dense, and again, I'm going to say dense for lack of a better word to explain how this feels to me, but it dries very quickly. And so when painting a page this size, and even though this is a tiny art journal, for what I mixed there color-wise, this is an awful lot of space to cover. What I was finding was that the gouache was drying, like, almost immediately. I mean, very, very short wet time. So you have to move fast, and I don't know this to be true exactly yet, but this is not the first page that I painted like this. Later on, you'll see I painted several backgrounds like this. What I noticed is you not only have to work fast, but it will streak. So it's likely you need to put 2 coats of gouache on if you want a smooth as silk finish. Now, I thought it would be fun to put on top of that background color a Rex Ray inspired design. Rex Ray was a collage artist, mixed media collage artist, who passed in 2015, and his works are always so exciting and vibrant to me, and I thought it would be fun to use his design ideas in this way for this color study, and also to see how I can manipulate the gouache paints, uh, in an exciting way. And so what I did was I sketched over on a piece of, actually, that was wet strength tissue paper, and then I made a photocopy of it, reduced the size of the photocopy. So I reduced it down to 4 1/4 inches square, and then I'm putting it inside my tiny art journal on top of a piece of carbon paper. That is the Sorel brand of carbon copy paper, and the great thing about this paper is that it will transfer the graphite or the carbon onto the background that I already painted, and you can reuse it so many times. It's not just a one-use thing, so keep your pieces if you get it. Everything that I'm talking about will be listed in the description below. I'm just using a regular pen to go over to transfer the line work through the carbon to the painted background on the bottom. The reason why I'm doing this is I don't want to spend a lot of time today figuring out what designs I'm going to make and with the paint. And although I tend to be very intuitive when I am working, when I'm doing this, when I'm doing a color study, very frankly, it's somewhat mindless for me as I am doing it. It's a really great, like, meditative exercise because I don't have to think that much while I do it, and that's part of the appeal of doing color studies for me. So I don't wanna think really hard about what I'm going to paint. So I did this transfer of the Rex Ray design um, into this little art journal. I will do a workshop at some point on this type of activity, but in larger scale. It was one of the art classes that I took while I was in college that stayed with me for my entire life. And we did not do it small like this. We did it big, and I would love to do that with you all. So if that's something that you're interested in at some point, please let me know, because I will happily put that together. So anyway, I didn't want to think about what I would be painting today, and that's why I borrowed Rex Ray's design and put it in this tiny journal. And so one thing that I have learned from other artists about gouache paints, and particularly acrylic gouache paints, is that it can be a bit rough on your brushes. And again, that might be that density thing that I was talking about. I'm not sure. This is my first time using it, so we will see. But instead of using my lovely brushes for this, I went on Amazon and I got just a, a bundle of inexpensive brushes to use So, we'll see how that goes, and we'll see if this gouache paint is, as damaging as I've been led to believe. I have to be honest, so far, it really doesn't feel like it. When I put the brush in the water to, rinse the paint off, it's coming off very easily. I don't see a problem. I could see a problem maybe if you let the paint dry in your brushes, but that's really any paint you can have problems with that. So, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. Like all of you, I watch YouTube videos to learn new things too, and, that was just one of the warning things that I saw in several videos. So, we'll see. So, here I am using some of this, what is this? This is the primary red mixed with some of the unbleached titanium and a little tiny bit of the white. And this is a very lovely pink. Um, it's pretty muted. I don't know if I will keep it this color, but for right now, it's just fine. One thing I am noticing, I have to be honest, about this design is there's a lot of round or oval shapes that don't have much room to work with, and I'm finding that this brush that I'm using is a bit much. I'm not staying in the lines very well, and, given that this bundle came with a lot of different brushes, I think I'll probably use a different one in a moment. But first, I wanted to point this out. When I purchased these gouache paints, for some reason, I didn't purchase any version of yellow, and I'm noticing it right now. So I just took some of my cadmium yellow fluid acrylic and I just mixed in some ultra matte medium, which is also a Liquitex product. And this is the only additive that I'm going to add today, and I'm only adding it to the yellow. What the Ultra Matte will do, I hope, is create that completely matte finish that gouache gives you. I guess I probably should have said that earlier. So one of the really unique and beautiful things about gouache is that when it dries dead flat. It's just a flat, matte finish, which can be very appealing for a lot of different applications. And the fluid acrylic I knew would dry with a bit of a sheen to it. So I mixed in the ultra matte medium. We'll see how that goes. We'll definitely pay attention to that later on. But for now, I just felt like with all the colors on this page and all the colors available to me, the fact that I didn't have a yellow available was bothersome, and I don't know why I didn't grab a yellow. That'll have to be some other gift card. As I was saying before I got into the mix, it's a little bit more challenging for me to manipulate this paint. It's like I said, it's more denser, it's heavier, there's resistance, there's something about it that it doesn't flow like the paints flow that I normally use. So I've got to be honest, I'm struggling a little bit with it. I love the look of it. At the moment, what I am really experiencing is a little frustration that I feel like I've lost all of my detail skills. Like I just can't get the detail right. So I did switch the brush that I was using to to a finer point brush, thinking that that would help. And it did actually help a little bit. Um, and I also adjusted that pink because the pink I laid down first was a little bit too dusty. So I went back into the mix by adding more of the primary red, actually quite a bit more of the primary red. And that's why we're getting that really gorgeous hot pink type, maybe not hot pink, but that really great pink color that I'm loving. I love that color against that aqua background that we do have in the background. Just love it. Mm, mm, mm. And at the moment, I'm feeling like I need an orange element. Orange was a color that came up a lot in Rex Ray's work. And by the way, Rex Ray, if you don't know about him, there's a fabulous documentary on him and his work. And I really encourage everybody to watch it if you haven't already. I will link to it in the description. And if you're watching on TV and it's hard for you to get to the description, um, just go to paintedpaperstudio.com/rex-ray-recommendations, right? And you'll find the documentary there. It's a little bit hard to find on the interwebs, that's why I'm telling you to do this. But anyway, watch it because his process is so fascinating and so illuminating, and it's something you can borrow easily. So, anyway, he used orange a lot in his work. I love orange. I truly do. And so I felt like this needed some orange. Oh, and I switched to a liner brush. Now, this was an interesting choice. So, the liner brush is doing a great job of staying up close and tight to the other colors that are already down. But what it does a miserable job of is filling in. I'm now using 2 brushes, nothing wrong with that, I'm fine with it. I just wanted to point out that, that the liner brush is not great, especially with acrylic on it, to fill in. The other thing that I wanted to point out here is I just tinted the orange with some white because the color value was too close to that hot pink, and I didn't wanna sacrifice the hot pink. I loved that hot pink. So, I tinted the orange to bring it down, make it a little more pastel-y, as it were, and, now you can see the variation between the hot pink and the orange, whereas prior to that, you couldn't. Again, I go back to what I said earlier. What I'm noticing immediately about the gouache paints is that they blend, they mix so easily and so beautifully. Just in that sense, they are a joy to work with. And to be honest, now that I'm using more appropriate brushes for the situation that I'm working on at any given moment, the flow or the I'll just call it the flow. The flow that's going on with the painting feels much easier. It feels much, much easier. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm gonna go ahead and add some aqua in here. If I haven't already said it, I am I am skipping through some of the parts because it's so repetitive. Everything new I'm showing you, like adding this aqua, or this teal, I should say, to the design now, that's something new, and so I'm talking about it and showing it to you, but I've jumped around quite a bit. I have to tell you, this painting took so long for me. It was almost 2 hours to do this teeny tiny little painting. Part of it was I was using a new material, so I was going a bit slower than I normally would. Um, but also my body was tired. Not like I didn't get enough sleep. Like my body was just really tired on the day that I was doing this. And it just took me forever to finish this one piece. My intention was actually to do all 5 pages that I had created backgrounds for that again, I will flip through later so you know what I'm talking about, but for every color, I had its own page, and I did a color study on each page, and that was already done, but getting through this painting took so long. I just couldn't. So the great news is there will be future videos with those other pages because the designs on those other pages are phenomenal. But this day, it just took me forever. Now that I have the design painted the way that I want, I'm going in now to do some detail work with the gouache. And again, I'm taking the liner brush here and just dotting on colors to make some variation, make some pop, make some contrast. I also, by the way, didn't I don't think I mentioned this either. Gosh, there's a lot I didn't mention. But before I started, I had put down washi tape, quarter-inch washi, to frame the page. So when this is all done, and once all the tape is pulled up, it should have a nice frame around it, which I think will also add to this graphic design sort of design that we have going on here. And even though it's hard, I am in not hard, even though I am so tired and this is taking so long for me, uh, I am still enjoying it. There's no doubt about it. I am enjoying it, and I hope you are too. If you are, I would love it if you would give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll know when I have new content coming out, like the other designs in this little tiny, um, art journal. And plus, it would just make my day. So I'm gonna go in, add some more, let's call it decoration to this. And the only reason I'm doing this really is because it's fun for me. I don't know if you saw the video I did almost a couple years now, almost a couple years now, where I did the holiday gift wrap, and there was one piece of paper that for every single thing I did on it, I added a decorative detail to it, a decorative detail, and it looked fabulous at the end, but I just couldn't stop myself, and in some ways, I feel like that's what's going on here, that I can't seem to stop myself from decorating this design. What I'm doing here is, not really authentically Rex Ray, although I don't think he'd be upset about it. Um, but he did use a lot of dots in his work, just not like this. I'm just playing, I'm just having fun and seeing what this paint can do for me. Alright, so I let it dry overnight. It probably didn't need to dry overnight, but I did. And, these are the other pages that I was talking about. So for each color that I purchased, I did a color study, except for the white and the unbleached titanium and the black. I didn't do a color study with those, but the colors I did. And then I went ahead and did the transfer and put those on pages. So when I get to those, you guys will see it. But here are all the color blends that I did, all of each all of them on one page. So I just wanted to show you that. And now, da, 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 I took the tape off, and now you get a close-up view of this color study. And so this was the bright aqua green, excuse me, the bright aqua green, the unbleached titanium, and titanium white. That's what this color study was, and then the design on it. So much fun. I hope you enjoyed it, and I would love for you to come back next week to see what I have going on. Take care.